Well, Year 7, welcome to week 2 of Term B. I hope you're all getting excited about coming back to school. We're all excited to see you. However, we still have home learning to do. So don't forget, you still need to keep up your routines, certainly as we are looking forward to seeing you. So you need to make sure that you are keeping up with your work, because we will be continuing with Coraline when we get back to school. And make sure that you are still handing your work so that we can check your progress. And the cat is there to remind you to do that. Okay, let's see where we left off last. So a little recap then for chapter 10. A few little questions I want to ask you first of all to see what you can remember. So where had Coraline gone to find the lost soul? What animals had she found there? What was she told or promised when she was inside the flat? And what happened when she found the last soul? You don't need to write these down. Just want you to see, can you remember the answers to those questions? So where had Coraline gone to find the last soul? What was the place that she went to? Oh, there was another question. I've forgotten. What do we expect to happen and why? That was the last question. Okay, so let's go back to the top. Where had Coraline gone to find the last soul? She'd gone to the flat of the old man upstairs. She'd already been to Miss Spink and Miss Forcibles. So she's got two. She's finding the last one, the third marble, and she's gone to the flat of the old man upstairs. What animals had she found in there? Because in the real world, he trains mice. He's got a little mouse circus. But in the other mother's world, it's different, isn't it? So what animals does she find in there? They're rats instead of mice, and they've got those glowing red eyes. So when she hears that really creepy voice, the rustling voice that's like dried leaves on the floor, what was she told or promised when she was inside the flat? Tries to get her to stay, doesn't want to go back to her other life. She was promised she could have everything she ever wanted. Now a bonus point, if you can remember what Coraline's reaction to that was. Because if someone told me you can have everything you ever wanted, I might be quite excited about that. Great, give me everything. It's not always the thing, is it? Coraline says she doesn't want everything she ever wanted. There's no fun in that. She doesn't want everything that she always asks for. She just wants a normal life. Sometimes boring's the way it is. And what happened when she found the last soul? So it was in the pocket of the old man's coat and he crumbled. And what happened then? Well, a rat caught the marble. She thought, that's okay. I can keep up with a rat that's got a marble in its hand. She ran after it, but she tripped and fell and it disappeared. So the last question, what do we expect to happen and why? Well, we've been prepared for this moment, haven't we? Catching rats. So we expect her helper, the talking cat, to appear, because previously we've seen it catch rats before. So we're prepared for this moment. Clever Neil Gaiman. Okay, so let's move on and read the remainder of chapter 10. She looked around for the rat, but it was gone, and the marble with it. Her hand stung where the skin had been scraped, and there was blood trickling down her ripped pyjama leg from her knee. It was as bad as the summer that her mother had taken the training wheels off Coraline's bicycle. But then, back then, in with all the cuts and scrapes, her knees had had scabs on top of scabs. She had a feeling of achievement. She was learning something, doing something she had not known how to do before. Now, she felt nothing but cold loss. She had failed the ghost children. She had failed her parents. She had failed herself, failed everything. She closed her eyes and wished that the earth would swallow her up. There was a cough. She opened her eyes and saw the rat. It was lying on the brick path at the bottom of the steps, with a surprised look on its face, which was now several centimetres away from the rest of it. Its whiskers were stiff. Its eyes were wide open, its teeth visible and yellow and sharp. A collar of wet blood glistened at its neck. Beside the decapitated rat, a smug expression on its face, was a black cat. It rested one paw on the grey glass marble. "I think I once mentioned," said the cat, "that I don't like rats at the best of times. It looked like you needed this one. However, I hope you don't mind my getting involved." "I think," said Coraline, trying to catch her breath, "I think you may have said something of the sort." The cat lifted its paw from the marble, which rolled towards Coraline. She picked it up in her mind. A final voice whispered to her urgently, "She has lied to you. She will never give you up now she has you. She will no more give any of us up than she can change her nature." The hairs on the back of Coraline's neck prickled. Coraline knew that the girl's voice told the truth. She put the marble in her dressing-gown pocket with the others. She had all 3 marbles now. All she needed to do was find her parents. And Coraline realised that was easy. She knew exactly where her parents were. She had stopped to think. She might have known where they were all along. The other mother could not create. She could only transform and twist and change. The mantelpiece in the drawing room back home was quite empty, but knowing that, she knew something else as well. The other mother, she plans to break her promise. She won't let us go, said Coraline. "I wouldn't put it past her," admitted the cat. "Like I said, there's no guarantee she'll play fair." And then he raised his head. "Hello, did you see that?" "What?" "Look behind you," said the cat. The house had flattened out even more. It no longer looked like a photograph, more like drawing, a crude, charcoal scribble of a house drawn on grey paper. "Whatever's happening?" said Coraline. "Thank you for helping with the rat. I suppose I'm almost there, aren't I? So you go off into the mist or wherever you go, and I hope I'll get to see you at home if she lets me go home." The cat's fur was on end, and its tail was bristling like a chimney sweep brush. "What's wrong?" asked Coraline. "They've gone," said the cat. "They aren't there any more. The ways in and out of this place. They just went flat." "Is that bad?" The cat lowered its tail, swishing it from side to side angrily. It made a low growling noise in the back of its throat. It walked in a circle until it was facing away from Coraline, and then it began to walk backwards, stiffly, one step at a time, until it was pushing up against Coraline's leg. She put down a hand to stroke it, and could feel how hard its heart was beating. It was trembling, like a dead leaf in a storm. "You'll be fine," said Coraline. "Everything's going to be fine. I'll take you home." The cat said nothing. "Come on, cat," said Coraline. She took a step backwards towards the steps, but the cat stayed where it was, looking miserable and oddly much smaller. "The only way out is past her," said Coraline. "Then that's the way we're going to go." She went back to the cat, bent down and picked it up. The cat did not resist. It simply trembled. She supported its bottom with one hand and rested its front legs on her shoulder. The cat was heavy, but not too heavy to carry. It licked at the palm of her hand, where the blood from the scrape was welling up. Coraline walked up the steps at one at a time, heading back to her own flat. She was aware of the marbles clicking in her pocket, aware of the stone with a hole in it, aware of the cat pressing itself against her. She got to her front door, now just a small child's scroll of a door, and she pushed her hand against it, half expecting that her hand would rip through it, revealing nothing behind it but blackness and a scattering of stars. But the door swung open, and Coraline went through. Right then, Year 7. So I want us to think then about this quotation we've got, and it describes a cat's fear. It was trembling like a dead leaf in a storm. I want you to think, what technique has Neil Gaiman here used to help us understand the cat's fear? We should all know it because it is techniques you have studied already in Year 7 and we recap them at the beginning of this unit. So pause the video if you need to think, but dig deep in your memory. Have a look at that technique. Which one is it that the writer is using to describe the cat's fear? Okay, the answer is coming up in 3, 2, 1. It's a simile. Did you remember that? So using as or like to compare one thing to another. So the cat isn't a dead leaf in a storm, but it's trembling like one does. Okay, so in your books, I want you to write today's date and title using similes to describe. Pause the video if you need to do that now. Okay. And then the next thing I want you to do underneath your title is to write that quotation down with the room around it to explore some ideas. Okay. Off you go. Right, next what we're going to do is going to think about how Neil Gaiman uses that quotation to help us understand the cat. So, around your quotation, I would like you to think about these 3 questions. Rather than just give you the ideas, I want you to see if you can come up with them yourself. So, I want you to think, why compare the cat to a dead leaf? When we use similes, we try and think of something that might have similar qualities. So the cat was trembling like a dead leaf in a storm. Okay, so why compare the cat to a dead leaf? What similar qualities might the cat and the dead leaf have? Then you could think about the verb trembling if you wanted. How does the verb trembling help us understand the cat's fear? Why was it not shaking? Or, I don't know, another word, rocking. And then I've picked out storm. So it wasn't just like a dead leaf, it's like a dead leaf in a storm. So what do storms make us think of? So I want you to pause the video at this point and I want you to see if you could write around your quotation some responses to those questions that help us understand why Neil Gaiman has used that quotation and that simile. Okay, off you go. Press play when you're ready to move on. Right, so what sort of ideas did you get then? Don't worry if your ideas are not the same as mine, because this is inference, it's all how we interpret it ourselves. But this should be sort of similar to mine. You can improve yours if you want. You can think, well, mine is similar to Mrs., so that's okay, I'm happy with that. All right, so I've started with the why compare the cat to a dead leaf question. I had to think, right, what's a dead leaf like? Well, they crunch really easily, they're quite fragile, they break. So that's what I thought about the cat. So I put the dead leaf is fragile and weak like the cat would be because it's scared. When we're scared, we feel really fragile and we feel really vulnerable. I've put it also creates a sense of danger because it makes us fear for Coraline and the cat's life. It's mentioning that it's dead, so we might worry that they might die also at this point. You know, they're going into the other mother's house and the cat said that she doesn't play fair. Yes, she likes games and challenges, but she also cheats. Okay, so how does the verb trembling help us understand the cat's fear? You've got to think about a tremble and that movement and what trembling is actually like. So trembling is a constant moving, it never stops, and you can't control it if you tremble. It's not very easy to stop your trembling. So it suggests the cat can't control its fear, which is unlike this cat. When we've met the cat before, it's normally really confident and almost a little bit rude. So that makes us think that whatever Coraline is heading into is really frightening. This is it now. It's the big battle. And then the final question was, what do storms make us think of? Well, they're chaotic, aren't they? They're all over the place. They're uncontrollable. We can't control storms. We can't control nature. So we wonder if Coraline will be able to escape what she's headed into. Coraline sounds quite confident, but is she going to be able to escape? And a dead leaf, that fragile little dead leaf, doesn't stand a chance in a storm. It's too fragile. So that's how frightened the cat is. So well done. If you want to improve any of your answers, or you want a moment just to check whether or not you've got them right, you can pause the video at this point. Okay, next then we're going to have a go at creating your own similes. So you need to remember that when you are writing a simile, you are describing one thing as if it is like or as something else with a similar quality. So the cat was really weak and fragile because it was frightened. So Neil Gaiman used a leaf in a storm that was also weak and fragile. So I'm going to give you an example of a simile that I might create using some pictures. And I'm going to give you some pictures to help you write your own similes as well. So here we've got a picture of a girl in the rain, quite enjoying it. She's got a smile on her face and we can see the raindrops there. Okay, so it's nice rain. It's not horrible cold February rain. Imagine it's been really hot and humid and then a nice rainstorm appears. Okay, so I've got to think, right, how can I compare those raindrops to something nice and lovely? Okay, so I'm thinking diamonds. I'm looking at those raindrops and they make me think of diamonds. Okay, something that's valuable and rare. It's been a hot summer day. We've not had rain for a long time. Diamonds are rare. I don't have many diamonds. So I could simply put raindrops fell like diamonds. Because remember, we've got to have the words like or as in our similes. Okay. Or I could write my simile at the start. So I could have like diamonds, raindrops fell from the sky. Okay, so I could write it like that. Or I could develop my simile a little bit further and I could write it in a more developed sentence if you want the challenge. And we've got, as the rain began to fall, it felt like the sky was releasing millions of diamonds. So that's an example of how to use the picture to create some similes. So on the next screen I'm going to bring up 6 pictures for you, and your task for the rest of the lesson is to create your own similes. Okay, so on the next screen I will show you them and I'll just remind you what you're doing. Okay, so a little reminder that in your simile you need to compare one thing to another that's got a similar quality using the word as or like, and you can always go back to my previous slide with my examples of the rain and the diamonds if you need a little bit of help. There are 3 examples on there of similar examples. Okay, so what have we got? Here are 6 pictures of 6 situations that I want you to create some similes. So you are describing these 6 things. So you're describing playing football. Now it doesn't have to be the girls in the picture playing football. It could be you playing football. So you play football like, or you could pick the girl in the picture. So the girl was kicking the football like. Okay. You've got running or jumping over hurdles. You've got being famous or the paparazzi. Imagine being stood in front of all those cameras and flashing lights. What's it like? The snow scene. So you could use that. You could just picture being in the snow. Crossing a busy road or going to the beach? Wouldn't that be nice at the moment? Okay, so that's your task, Year 7, and it is really important for you to remember to upload your 6 similes onto your assessment on Teams so we can see your fantastic creative work, because this is a little warm-up to your end of unit work that we will be doing on some creative writing. Okay, well done for all your hard work this lesson. Great to see you working hard, and we're looking forward to seeing you soon. Over and out.